Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is WatchArtSci, the art and science of watch collecting. Today what I'd like to do is to take a look at some collection strategies, you might say. I don't know if that's the right term or not, but what I was thinking, and a lot of people bring this up, is the whole notion of the Holy Trinity. Why are these three watch bands part of the Holy Trinity? Well, one reason I can think of, excuse me, one reason I can think of is that if we combine all of the grand prizes that these three watches have won, they're more than any other three groups that you can put together. Now, this isn't to say there aren't other watches that are certainly on this same level, but it is saying that there are certain watches that are at better in terms of the judgments of the best experts in the world, and the best experts in the world supposedly are those who are the judges at the Grand Prix de horologerie de Genève. And so we're going to look at that, and then what we're going to do is say, well, heck, let's make up our own Holy Trinities. And so I'm going to look at some combinations and stuff, and maybe that's an idea you can do. I'm going to start with my own Holy Trinity, and heck with these other guys. That's an idea. Okay, but the first thing I wanted to do was to, let's take a look and see if we can create a Holy Trinity set under a mean average of $2,000. Well, as you can see, it's not too hard to do. Here we have the Audemars we found one of those for $11.29, a Vacheron Constantin for $16.95, and a Patek Philippe for $27.72. Now, these are not negotiated prices. They're simply some prices, the lowest prices that I found on Chrono 24. And so, well, it's not that hard on the average. So for a mean price of $18.65, you can put together a Holy Trinity, or the Holy Trinity. Now, in case you wanted to have the new versions, or get new ones, or condition 0 or unworn, one of those, I also found that you couldn't do it for under $2,000 a piece, but you could do it for under $5,000 a piece, and on the average for a mean. And the ones I found were sort of interesting. First of all, there's an ellipse, a Patek Philippe ellipse. This is a man's watch. It looks like a woman's watch, but it's advertised as a man's formal watch. And I noticed there was a little corrosion or something on the hour hand, but it is advertised as brand new, and it's pretty old, and something that was probably sitting in some warehouse somewhere, got ignored, and somebody dug it up and put it up for sale. The Vacheron Constantin Fias has a very, very interesting story. The Fias was the watch that came before the overseas. They had the 222, and then they had something else. I think it was 333 actually. Then they had the Fias, and then they had the overseas. Okay, well, the overseas is one of my favorite watches for an everyday watch, for if you're in business, or even it'll work in a formal situation too. So I found one of those for under $3,000, brand new. Now these are all, when I say brand new, I mean condition 0. Finally, there was an Audemars-Piguet for $76.67, and it was, I'm sorry, that's the reference number on it. It's for $47.07. The strap on it looks like a reptile strap of some sort. It doesn't look too good, but the watch itself looks great. And so the total was $12,000. And this is for brand new Holy Trinity. Okay. Now, like I said, is that this doesn't have to be the only Holy Trinity. So what I did is that I went through and I put together some of my own. Okay. The first one I put together, I took the next three highest awarded watches for the Grand Prix. And I came up with A. Lang and Son, the F.P. Journe, and Piaget. And each one of these has won 7 grand prizes of different sorts. F.P. Journe has won more of the what's called the Aiguille d'Or, which is like the grand prize. So this is another, you could, if you made a Holy Trinity out of the Lang, Journe, and Piaget, you'd be doing pretty well. I want to get a blue F.P. Journe in the worst way. Trouble is, they cost a lot of money. Same thing with a Lang, A. Lang. They have one now, brand new for around 15, and that's something that I may be able to put something like that together. Not right away. I'm still working on something else right now. Okay, so that's another 3 that for a collector say, well, that might be a good target group. The next group after this is it has 18 combined Grand Prix awards. Breguet, Cartier, and Zenith. Each one of these has 6 awards. And I had mentioned before that you got to watch out for Zenith. Zenith is a bargain if there ever was one. They make excellent watches. They have in-house movements. In fact, I was looking at, I think it was a Tag Heuer, and had a Zenith movement in it. So they even are farmed out to some other high horology watches. Okay, so that's sort of another Holy Trinity. HT stands for Holy Trinity. So here's another one. Now this is the next level. There are 13 of them: Chopard, Gribel, Forcé, and Volontianen. I'm wrecking the names of these, so sorry about that. These 3 watches are really interesting. There's other than Chopard, you may not have heard of the other 2. The Gribel Forcé did win the big prize, the Aiguille d'Or at the Grand Prix. So that's no small deal. That's a picture of it right there. I think it was with Tourbillon. Okay, another one is we're getting to a little more familiar territory. Frank Mueller, Hublot, and Tag Heuer. Tag Heuer has won a lot of grand prizes, quite a few. And far more, Frank Mueller and Hublot. Hublot has been winning a lot with their Big Bang series. So here's another group. These are 3 award-winning watches that you might want to consider as, oh, heck, I'll collect those. The next level is what I call HT6. Here you have Blancpain, Girard-Perregaux, and Jaeger-LeCoultre. Together, the 3 of them have won 11 grand prizes, or Grand Prix awards. And this is like an Academy Award. This is a big deal, and 11 of them between those 3. That's quite good. And so this is another thing. People tend to ignore them. They want to have either Patek Philippe's or Rolexes. And both of them are great watches, but there are other kinds of things I think that are worth investigating. Okay, the next level is 3 watches that one I've talked a lot about, which I think is great, and that's a Harboring 2. And but another one is Seiko, especially the Grand Seiko. That's a good one. And Uwerk. Uwerk is one that they make some really good watches, but they don't necessarily appeal to me, the way they look. A lot of people love the way they look. So this is a matter of personal taste. So sometimes you can have a watch that's, we'll say, in my case, is better than my taste. So here's another one. And Seiko is one I think that it's important to keep an eye on some of the watches from Japan. And down the line, I think there are going to be some really interesting watches. And in fact, there already are coming out of China. Okay, this next group is together, the 3, the Omega, Panerai, and Rolex have won 2. Omega 1-1 for the dark side of the moon, which is shown there. And the Panerai 1-1, I forgot what it was for, and Rolex has 1. Now, the reason the Rolex has a 1, they don't enter any. They when they entered their tutor, they did win. They won. I think they won a total of 2 or 3 with the tutor. But what Rolex doesn't seem to want to do is to stick their necks out when they are considered such a strong brand. And they probably have a point. If they jumped into the fray and didn't win, that'd be very bad for them. If they did win, people would say, yeah, that's what we expected. So I don't know if there's a lot of motivation. Now, I'll tell you sort of something interesting. In the last several years, Patek Philippe and Vacheron Constantin, who won, I think, a huge number of awards, haven't been entering them. And I'm sort of disappointed in that, to tell you the truth. Vacheron Constantin came out with a really great new movement called the 5100 that's part of their new overseas. And also they have another one called the, I think it's called the, what is it, Quedelio. And it came out in it with a more affordable price in stainless steel. It's got that 5100 movement in it. And they didn't enter it this year. And I'm thinking, oh, come on, guys. Here you have do some neat things. And I know that Rolex has done some very cool things, but they don't enter. And so anyway, it's hard to say. And so here you have 3 watches, Omega, Panerai, and Rolex, all of which have their own movements, by the way. And this is an important thing. The list that I made, all of them have their own movements. Now, Cartier and some of the other ones have used other people's movements, but who hasn't? But here's another thing to think about. Okay, you're going to collect watches, and you don't want to spend it all on the most expensive one, but it's good to know, I'll have my own. Now, another strategy that some people have is that they collect the same watch. They want to have every version of a Rolex. They want to have every version of an Omega, or Vacheron Constantin, or Patek Philippe, or Cartier. It doesn't matter, but that's another strategy. You can say, okay, I got to have these 3 watches. Unfortunately, I got to have those 3 plus all these others I love. All right, well, that's about it for today. Leave a comment. Tell me why don't you say this would be my holy trinity, and some of the watches, 3 watches that you think are the greatest you'd love to have, or you may already have, and leave a comment. All of the comments I'm still able to respond to, all of them so far. And we're starting to grow, and I don't want to get too big, but if you'd like to subscribe, feel free. But like I said, I'm not going to encourage anybody, oh, please subscribe or my dog will die, something like that. Please subscribe if you're interested in joining our conversation. Until next time, this is Bill Sanders. You're not going to see this guy. My white linen suit is going into mothballs because we're coming up on Labor Day, and as you all know, one does not wear white after Labor Day. All right, till next Friday, see you then. Bill Sanders for WatchArtSci.